Hey everybody, welcome to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron, and it's a new day, and we're starting a new project. So, just a second here, I'm gonna turn around and show you this truck, and let you know what we're doing to it. But before I get into that, I wanna let everybody know that I finally figured out how to get a website together. It is live on the internet, and you can go on there and buy Harmon Garage merch. I've got a couple different t-shirt options, couple different sticker options. Not a whole lot, but it's a start, and we'll see how it goes. So if you're interested in some Harmon Garage merch, check out the link here, www.harmongarage.net, and I'll put a link in the description that you can just click on and go to it as well. So if you're interested in some merch, want to check it out, go see what you think. So with all that being said, ready to introduce this new truck, and it's been sitting out here for a while. You might have seen it in the background in other videos or whatever, but the time has come and we're gonna do it. So this is Cherry Pie, and it is a 1987 R10 two-wheel drive, short bed, basically all original truck, down to still has the jack, all the jack tools and everything here on the fenders. Seat needs a little work, but other than that, it's pretty clean. Dash pad's only got 2 little cracks in it, almost perfect. Carpet's good, door panels are amazing. It needs a new vent window, but that's not that big a deal. Actually, it feels like it's there, it's just taped up. But no rust, very little body damage. Just this little bit on this fender right here is all I've seen so far. And just a really clean truck. So this is a customer's truck, so I'm not gonna go digging through glove boxes to find out what's in there or anything like that. But just a little insight for people that are learning about square bodies or don't know, 1987 was the first full year of the throttle body fuel injection, and they changed the code from C10 to R10. I can't tell you why they did that, because I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. In my mind, it's still a C10, but if you go to the parts store and tell them what you got, and you tell them you have an 87 C10, they look around on the computer for 10 minutes, fumbling around, look at you and go, I don't have a listing for that. So it's a 350 throttle body. Most of the time they come with 700 R4s, which this one may have, but this transmission's been switched out. It's got a turbo 350 in it, and the original motor rod knocked. So my buddy, who I'm working on this for, got this motor out of a junkyard, got it set in, and kind of got it this far, and wasn't comfortable going any further with it. So he brought it to me. He wants me to give it the full engine bay treatment, clean everything up, paint everything, make it look nice. We're gonna yank this motor out. We're gonna put it on a stand. We're gonna go through it like I always do. We're gonna check bearings. We're gonna check rockers. We're gonna check everything and make sure that it's good before we go any further with it. If it is all good and everything checks out, it's gonna get regasketed, cleaned very thoroughly, gone through, painted up, made to look nice. We're gonna rebuild that throttle body. And then redo the wiring harness. Same thing that I always do, but we're going all the way engine compartment wise. And then I'm thinking it needs an altitude adjustment, so we're going to do that as well. It's going to get about a 4.6, 5.7 drop, somewhere in there. He wants it lowered. I know a guy that does that stuff, so that's it. That's what we're gonna do. So the first thing I'm gonna do is start stripping out this engine compartment, get that motor out of here, and see what happens after that. So I'm gonna get my stuff together and we're gonna start pulling this motor. All right, just a little update. I pulled the grill and the headlight doors off just so when I'm leaning over it and pushing on it and everything else, nothing gets broke. And I'll clean up and paint everything in here. Pulled the radiator and AC condenser out to get it out of the way. And I pulled all the plastic tanks, windshield washer fluid, radiator overflow, battery tray, all that stuff out of the way. So when I'm leaning over the fender, reaching into doing stuff, I'm not pushing on it or breaking it or anything like that. So my goal for today is to get this motor out. Don't know if I'll get it done or not, but I'm gonna try. And I'll set the camera up and I may do a little bit of this is what I'm doing and some time lapse and stuff like that. But I'm going to pull the front accessories off next so that I can get to the headers easier. The headers have normal hex head bolts in them, which makes them real tight up against the tubes and they're going to be really hard to get out. But we'll get them, and when we go back together with it, we'll put the right header bolts in it to make it a lot easier. So I'm going to go underneath and disconnect the collectors from the exhaust system. I'm going to pull the starter off and I'm going to get the torque converter bolts undone underneath there. And then once I get that done, I'll come back up top and we will start hammering the rest of it out and get this motor yanked. So once I get everything underneath done and come back up top, I'll set the camera up and we'll do some filming. All right, well, a little bit of change of plans. I went underneath the truck and disconnected the exhaust from the header collectors. And while I was down there, I realized that it'd be a lot easier to do the other stuff that I need to do without the headers in the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this front accessory set up off and get the headers out, and then I'll go back under there and finish disconnecting stuff. They did a 87, this model changeover year and all that. Kind of a pain when you're taking this stuff apart because half of it's metric, half of it's standard. You never know what you're getting into. I really like this Milwaukee ratchet, by the way. If you're into doing this stuff and looking for a good tool to spend some money on, definitely check it out. Alright, well, I'm just taking off bolts to get all this stuff out of the way, so I'll go ahead and put you guys in a time lapse and talk about it some more when I get done. I got in there and got all the front accessories off, so all the stuff over on this side that was covering up this header's out of my way now. So now I'm just gonna go through here and fight these headers off and keep going. We're really getting fairly close. I mean, there's not a whole lot left to do. Unhook some wires and pull out some bolts and we'll be there. You know, just what we had to do when we started. Unhook some wires, pull out some bolts. Yeah. Still the same thing, just a little bit closer. The first time I've ever seen a set of headers with regular 3/8 bolts in them. Luckily, they're not very tight. different size. Not quite sure how that worked out, but if I had to guess, this bolt's probably not threaded into anything. Yep, it's not. Kind of wedged in there funky, so it's not wanting to come out. But not even a bolt. It's a dang leg screw. Alright, well, we'll fix that when we get there. I think I'm probably going to have to run a tap through all these holes in the head. That bolt looked like it was kind of gnarled up. This one's hard coming out, so it's probably kind of gnarled up. No big deal, it's all part of it. Looks like it's got one of those leg screws in the back too, and they're kind of crooked, so I'll see if I can get it out or if it'll just come out when the header comes loose. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes you can get both headers out from the top. Sometimes you got to do one from the top, one from the bottom. Don't know how this one's going to be, but we'll find out pretty soon. Alright, the headers are out. Since I'm already up here, I'm going to go ahead and get all this extra stuff off the top of the motor. And I think it's going to be easiest if I pull that throttle body off first. So go ahead and unplug it. Get some more of this out of the way. Alright, made some pretty good progress. Everything is off, unhooked. I put a jack under the transmission and it decided to unhook itself, so we're already past that part. And I'm 99.91% sure that I have everything unhooked. So we got the cherry picker hooked up here. We should be able to just lift it and it'll come right out. I got motor mount bolts out. I got everything unhooked as far as I know. There's gonna be something that's not, because there always is. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the cherry picker to work, make it earn its keep, and we'll get this motor jerked out of here. the engine stand. And that'll honestly probably be it for today. But we made some good progress, so that's all that matters. Alright, well, I did a pretty good job of not really making a mess in the shop. I've got some tools I got to clean up and stuff, but for the most part I kept everything pretty organized. So I'm going to call it a day, go home and eat something and whatnot, and I'll be back first thing in the morning, and we're going to tear this thing down, see if it's any good. Alright, it's the next morning. We're back in the shop. Gonna get ready to tear this motor down and see how it looks. And just a little update. I've got the transmission tied up so that it kind of stays where it needs to be and doesn't go anywhere. After we get the motor figured out, I'll go through and pull everything out of here so we can clean it all up. But first things first, we're going to see where we're at with this motor in case we need to order any parts or decide that it needs to be rebuilt or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to start yanking this thing apart and see how it looks. So here we go. Alright, I haven't looked in this motor at all yet, so if we find any surprises, it's going to be as exciting to me as it is to you guys. The only real problems you ever hear of with these TBI motors is head gaskets. And there's no sign of any head gasket problems. I drained the oil out and it was dirty, but it didn't have anything in it. There was no coolant mixed with it. It didn't smell like gas. I didn't see any metal shavings. The magnet on the drain plug was really clean. So those are all good signs. This motor came out of a junkyard. It's been sitting. I'm expecting it to be dirty inside, but that's nothing we can't clean up. I basically just want to go through and check all the rockers and push rods and lifters and make sure they're all good. If I can get this valve cover off. Oh yeah, it's dirty. All the rockers feel okay. They might need a little bit of adjustment. They might just be a little bit loose because it hasn't run in a while and the lifters aren't pumped up. But it feels okay. See how the other side looks. Looks exactly the same. We got some cleaning up we're gonna have to do. Like I said, that ain't no big deal. Rockers feel pretty good over here. See what this intake valley looks like. One other thing I want to mention real quick while I'm thinking about it and just looked at it. These things right here, where your heater hose connects to the back of the intake, they're just like, there's a plastic locking ring in there on these aluminum deals here, and you can see all the corrosion and everything built up in that. They are known for leaks, and they are terrible. I always take them off and just put a regular hose bung in there and just slip the hose straight on it instead of having this hose here. So I'm going to go ahead real quick and yank that off, and then because it'll be easier to do it now while the intake's bolted to the motor. If I try to do it when the intake's separate on the floor, I'll never get it out. I'd say probably 6 out of 10 of these that I've taken out have broken off in the intake. So we're going to hope that doesn't happen on this one, because they're kind of a pain to get out. But luckily I have tools to get it out, and I have the tap to retap that hole. So we'll see what happens. For some reason these motors build up a lot of crap in the cooling system, so I'll see what I can do to flush it out. But luckily this came out, didn't bugger up any threads or nothing, so we're going to go ahead and file this over here in the G file, and we'll do our little upgrade to it when we put it back together. Get that off of there, bring you guys over and show you. Looks about the same inside as it does under the valve covers. And if you see where it's really badly built up right here, that hole's plugged off, that hole's almost plugged off, and there's a lot of buildup and crap right here. That is from the EGR. Exhaust goes through here, through the intake, and creates a lot of heat, and it cakes up everything in there. That's why if you do an EGR delete and block this off, keeps your intake temps cooler, your vehicle will run better. So we're probably going to go ahead and do that also. I usually do, so it's not really doing anything anyways. But alright, so we know it's dirty, we know we got to clean it up. You guys want a piece of that? There you go. But so I'm going to go ahead and zip this balancer and the timing cover off real quick. I'll show you guys what it looks like in there, and then we'll roll it over and pull the oil pan off and pull a couple bearing caps, make sure the bearings look good. Other than being really dirty, everything up top looks good. Lifters look good from what I can see. I don't have any that are collapsed or anything. All my push rods look good. Got a couple lifters that are spinning when I spin the push rods, which is good because you want them to be able to spin. That means the bores are clean. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. I'll bring you guys back and show you what it looks like when I'm done. Alright, I got this thing set up. Obviously I got the oil pan off. I got the timing cover off, all that stuff. Timing chain's a little loose. Nothing I would normally worry about, but since I have the cover off and have the motor opened up, I'm going to go ahead and put a new one on. And same with the oil pump. I'll go ahead and clean that screen really good, put a new oil pump on it just because I have it apart. I'm just pulling a rod cap right now. I'm not expecting to find anything, I'm just looking for wear. And then I'll also pull the main cap and do the same thing. Just make sure it's good. Of course my bearing stayed in there. I don't really want to get in here and pry on this because I don't want to scratch anything, but just trying to get it off. There we go. Crank journal looks fantastic. I don't see any marks on it at all. And our bearing here has a little bit of wear on it. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. It's got a little bit of wear, but it doesn't look like anything's gone through it. Doesn't look like it's spun, anything like that. So the used motor, I expect it to have some wear, but so that one looks clean. I went around and checked for side play and up and down play on all the rods, and I didn't feel anything. So since this one looks good, motor rotates good, and all that, this is the only one I'm going to pull. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull, I'm still going to go ahead and pull a rod cap, or a main cap I mean, just to check that out and see what it looks like. But we'll put this back on. Alright, I got some assembly lube. Got that bearing to stay in the cap. Got it put back on. Just started the bolts. After I get done checking these, I'll go get a torque wrench and I'll come back and torque the ones that I took off. You might want to say that I'm taking these main bolts out. I should replace them, which a lot of people say that, but I've been reusing them my whole life strictly because I can't afford to buy new ones most of the time. And I've never had a problem with stretch or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and check this out, stick it right back in with the same bolts and everything, and it'll be good. Same thing on this bearing. Shows a little bit of wear, but doesn't look like anything's going through it. It's nice and smooth, and so we're going to be good with that. Go ahead and lightly run those back down, then I'll go get a torque wrench and we'll torque them to the specified torque. Alright, I'm going to get those torqued back down and then we'll move on. Okay, I got those all torqued back down to spec, and I grabbed a flashlight and I looked down in past the crank, and I can still see some cross hatching in the cylinder walls. I don't see any scarring as far as I can see, and the cam looks good. All the lobes on the cam don't have any excessive wear or anything like that on them. They look good. So I'm confident this is going to be a good motor. It's going to run good after I get it cleaned up. So I'm going to go, and next thing I'm going to do is clean out the inside the best that I can. I'm going to go through, I'm going to take the oil pump off. I'm going to shoot pressurized air and some brake parts cleaner and stuff through all the oil galleys and make sure they're not plugged up so we get good oil flow. And I'm going to clean the outside of the block, clean the oil pan. I'm going to put the new oil pump on, put the new timing chain on, and then we'll get it cleaned the rest of the way, get it painted, and it'll be ready to put back together. Well, it's been a few hours and a lot of work, but I finally got the block inside and out cleaned up. There's not much left in here, just a little bit. And once I get the motor assembled and everything done and put back in the truck, I'll run a motor flush through it, and that should just flush out the other whatever contaminants are left in there. But it's clean, bare metal, little bit of surface rust, and came out pretty good. Wasn't really all that bad. Got the oil pan all cleaned up, ready to put on and paint. Timing covers all cleaned up, ready to put on and paint. But that's gonna do it for this video. Next time you see this, I'm not sure if it'll be the next video or 2-3 videos away, but the next time you see this, I'm going to replace the timing chain set. I'm going to replace the oil pump. We'll put the timing cover, oil pan, stuff like that back on. We'll roll it over to the paint booth, give it a little spritz of the chosen color. And then for the most part, other than all the other brackets that go on the motor and the headers and the intake and the throttle body and all that other stuff, the motor will be ready to go. So that'll be next video. That's gonna do it for this video. But remember, if you are interested in some merch, check out my website, harmongarage.net. If you're interested in following or going to the best car show of truck show of 2023, look up the Truck Gathering. Both those links will be down in the description. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time.